last season. It is official. So because it's official, we have Stephen A. in the house here joining us on Coast to Coast. So Lakers season opener tonight in Portland, LeBron debut. I wanted to ask you this big picture in terms of sports significance. LeBron moving to Los Angeles, where does that rank for you?
It's up there. It's up there. I mean, listen, when he went to Miami, that was a very, very big deal. But L.A. is special. Let's just call it what it is. The game of basketball, particularly NBA basketball, is incredibly special and is elevated exponentially when the Lakers are relevant. This is one of, if not the most storied franchise in basketball history. They're competing with the Boston Celtics. They're competing with the Boston Celtics and the New York Yankees for supremacy in that category in all of sports, at least in the United States of America. And so when you look at it from that perspective, to be the greatest player in the world, without question, to be a 3-time champion and a 4-time league MVP, to be in your 16th NBA season still being recognized as the best in the world, okay, and to be fresh off of 8 straight appearances in the NBA Finals, and you're going to that storied franchise that hasn't been storied as of recently because they've been out of the playoffs the last 5 years. I cannot tell you, I have been covering the NBA for 25 years. Yeah. And I have not been this excited about NBA basketball in a long time because his arrival in LA coincides with Boston being elevated. The Boston Celtics are a legitimate title contender. And so now we have literally the possibility of Boston and LA reuniting their rivalry. And the only thing that would get in the way of it are the Golden State Warriors, who may be one of, who was unquestionably one of the greatest teams ever assembled, and definitely the greatest of this generation. So that's the only thing that could interrupt, in my opinion, Boston, LA with LeBron. And that's what makes this so special.
It makes it so special. Okay, so Magic, speaking of that rivalry, on your show earlier today, and he had something to say about the young core. So let's take a listen.
You need a cornerstone. You need a superstar. And we end up getting the greatest player in the world in LeBron James to come. But also, too, we had young pieces that were attractive because we hit what I feel was a home run in our first draft. And so Lonzo Ball, I think he's going to be outstanding this season. LeBron has helped his mindset, and Rondo has helped him out a lot. And then I think Kyle Kuzma had a great rookie season, and I think he's going to step up and have even a better season this season.
Magic also said, which I thought was interesting, as LeBron has said, Brandon Ingram is the next big superstar. What do you think of this young core?
I like Brandon Ingram, but I love Kyle Kuzma. Ooh. So I'm not one of those guys that, as big time as I think Brandon Ingram has the potential to be, I actually disagree somewhat with the great Irvin Magic Johnson because I'm a Kyle Kuzma guy. He also says he hit a home run with the draft. I think that he hit a home run with Kuzma. I think it remains to be seen with Lonzo. Why do I say that? Because who was number 3? Who got picked behind Lonzo? That would happen to be Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. I'm sorry, if I had a choice between Jason Tatum or Lonzo Ball, particularly at this juncture, I would roll with Jason Tatum. But Lonzo Ball, I believe in him. I think he has incredible potential. He's gotten a bit bigger. He's learning from Rondo and Magic. Magic talked about him, Rondo, and Lonzo being in a room together all at the same time, and Lonzo's eyes wide open like Beetlejuice because he was learning so much from those savants, those basketball savants. So the future of Lonzo Ball appears to be bright. I'm not trying to be negative in any way about him. I got love for him. But he ain't no Jason Tatum. So let's be clear about that. All right? So when I look at it from that perspective, there are still some things to prove. But in the end, I love Kyle Kuzma. This brother, he has that it factor and he wants it. Brandon Ingram has the abilities, but I still want to see more of the want it factor. I want to see the want it factor from Lonzo Ball as well. I don't have any questions about that from Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, I've watched him enough to know that brother wants it. We'll see if he can get it.
Okay, and speaking of get it, obviously, again, the Portland game is tonight. Lakers-Portland. We'll have Stephen A. on tomorrow to talk about that and what he thinks about the Lakers' predictions in terms of the season.
Watch out for Damian Lillard tonight.
Oh, he's putting on a show. I know. I can imagine.
Watch it.
Thank you.
True contenders this year, I think Brandon Ingram is the guy who's going to have to take a quantum leap forward.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I think the expectation should be that they're going to win a round of the playoffs and really be in position to be meaningful.
We'll get to how the roster may work and what pieces can work together. But you played with LeBron in Cleveland.
Right.
You were the general manager.
I don't know if you really say I played. I was there.
Right. You were on the bench.
I was around.
You look good in warm-up.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
I really
no
did.
question.
I
Yeah.
was killing it.
You're good with that Gatorade, right?
Yeah.
Getting that. You were the general manager. That was in Cleveland. We've been there covering that team in Cleveland, where it got the most media scrutiny of any team. It's a smaller market. This is L.A. Griff, are these guys ready, who have been in L.A., who have had a lot of media scrutiny, to recognize, maybe at Media Day they got a small piece of what it's going to be like, but for 82 nights, they are going to be in the spotlight every single night?
Well, when LeBron came back to Cleveland, nobody there was ready for that level of intensity. To go from 0 to 100 is not normal. And in terms of expectations of victory, that's where those Laker kids are right now. Now, what they have an advantage is, because they've been in Los Angeles all the time, they have been a flagship franchise. They are a sexy Hollywood franchise. They've had distraction. They've had to deal with those things. So they're a little more adept than most young kids are at keeping the main thing the main thing. But there's no expectation of victory prior to this. So again, I think that's going to change the level of intensity that comes with LeBron's presence, and the level of media attention is so completely different than anybody else ever deals with.
Right.
You can't be ready for it until you go through it.
Well, guys, LeBron is the three-time champ, and while winning appears to still be important, a fourth title in his first year in L.A. doesn't seem to be a mandate.
I don't believe the only thing of success you mark in the season is winning a championship. There's only one champion, but that doesn't mean you're not successful. I think there's going to be wins and losses and things of that nature, but what you can control is how you prepare every day, how we prepare every day to try to get better every day. We're a new ball club coming together. Obviously, they have some returning guys, but as far as the ball club, we're all new to each other. So, we have to, take our bumps and our bruises. We have to, there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times, and that's what happens with a team that's new. But if we continue to work the process and we continue to, sacrifice for one another and put in a commitment and the time to being great, then everything else will fall into place. That's definitely exciting for sure. When you see how many multiple ball handlers, how many guys that can do multiple things, pass, shoot, rebound, put the ball on the court, get out and run. So, it's going to be fun to see how I can implement myself into that, and we can all implement each other and get the best out of each other.
This will be point number 2. And, guys, this sounds awfully similar to what we heard LeBron say in his first year back in Cleveland, talking a lot about a process of teaching guys who, as you mentioned before, have never even tasted the playoffs, what it's like to win in the regular season, to be ready for a postseason situation.
I think it's going to be very tough, because you have these young guys that they don't have the playoff experience. They don't know what it's like. They don't understand that the playoffs are a totally different season from the regular season. And then on top of that, you have a veteran group that has a bunch of different personalities, to say the least. There's a lot of guys that, that they've had some problems in different stops. And then on top of that, all the veterans, for the most part, are on one-year deals. And a lot of times in those situations, one-year deals breed contempt. A lot of times that breeds selfishness. These guys start going out there playing for the stat sheet. Sometimes in those situations, you start playing for yourself. And so that is something that has to be talked about. It has to be out in the open, that we're trying to win basketball games. If we win, everybody will get paid. Because if not, if this locker room frays at all, you could have the veterans trying to go out there and get their numbers, the young guys chasing their stats, trying to show that they belong and they should be playing with LeBron James. And it's a very tough and it's a very tense situation. I really don't know what to expect from this locker room. This isn't a locker room that you would expect to see from a team that you would think, hey, LeBron James is on this type of team. Normally you think, hey, they have some veterans in there. This team is ready to go. But this locker room right now, it's a powder keg. It could go either way. It could be something very good because you have a lot of youth, or it could explode and blow up in Magic and LeBron's face. Only time will tell.
A lot of agenda-driven situations for individuals. Let's talk about the point guard position here. Rondo, one of those veterans on a one-year deal who's won a championship, versus Lonzo Ball, who's coming off an injury. First of all, we don't know when he's going to be ready to play, but once he is, how do you see that playing out?
Well, I think the dynamic with those guys, and LeBron talked a little bit about it relative to the ball handling, but he also at Media Day talked about how excited he is to play with the level of basketball IQ that Rondo brings to the equation. I think what's going to happen is you may see those guys play together a lot because LeBron is so excited about the idea of the ball moving that much and guys with that much vision as passers being the ones to really initiate the offense. I think that one takes care of itself because they have the versatility with Lonzo's size and ability to defend.
You think Rondo and Lonzo will play together?
I do. I think they will, and the reason is because
they're going to pack that thing in, Griff.
Lonzo can guard both positions.
Right.
And Rondo will defend at a really high level at the one. So a big part of what Irvin Johnson and Rob Pelinka sold LeBron, and a lot of the reason he signed a multi-year deal, is that they intend to take the pressure off of him to make every play. They want to be a defensive-oriented team that gets out in transition and makes plays easy for each other. Well, Lonzo is at his best in transition. Rondo is at his best in transition. They're going to have to be on the court some together in order for each one of them to play, but that's not even that interesting to me. The dynamic to me that's interesting with all of these is Rondo and LeBron. If they start out the season poorly, you've got two alphas in that locker room who both have very high basketball IQ, and neither one of them is in the habit of being wrong when they make a statement.
Right.
And so it'll be really fascinating to see how those two grow and learn to share the leadership with the young, the leadership of the young guys.
Quickly, though, to finish up on this, Brandon Ingram, does he have to be the second best player on the team?
Yes, Brandon Ingram has to step up. I love what he did last year when they put the ball in his hands when Lonzo was out. I think they need more of that. He's a special talent at 6'10" with the ability to shoot and dribble.
All right, let's go on to point number 3 here, the real storyline of the 18-19 season. The summer of 2019. Will the pressure to win be so great that Magic Johnson won't be patient and won't wait until July of 2019?
I don't see any way that happens because LeBron signed a 4-year deal. If he was on a 1-year contract and your fear was we must win this championship or be in contention for this championship in order to keep him, I think maybe you could argue that that amount of pressure would be brought to bear. But where they are now, the attitude, you saw it, you've been with LeBron, the level of peace he had in that segment we just saw, he knows this isn't a team that's supposed to win a championship, and no one's going to blame him if they don't. So the pressure will be off for him as well, which means he won't be bringing that pressure to Rob Pelinka and to Irvin either. So I think it's just going to be a totally different dynamic. Unless you can acquire one of the guys you would sign with max money, I don't think they'll feel any pressure to make a major move.
And I totally agree. I think depending on how the NBA season goes, you know, if Toronto were to stumble and maybe Kawhi was available, or if it was a situation like that, or maybe Anthony Davis was available, yeah, I think the Lakers would jump at the opportunity for that. But besides that, I have to agree with Griffin. Something like that doesn't happen. If a team that we think is going to be good doesn't implode or stumble where they're trying to unload one of their superstars, I think the Lakers pretty much stay pat this year, play it out, see what they have with their young guys, and in 2019, they try to sign another big fish.
Well, listen, a lot of that depends on LeBron and what seems like to be a robot that he has been, right? Because he never gets hurt, plays as much or as little as he wants to as it impacts winning. We'll talk about that straight ahead on our Lakers team preview. We'll go on the court. Brendan and Griff will tell us how LeBron can conserve his energy and be ready to take this team to the postseason and the playoff draft.
Which one of us plays LeBron?
I'm guessing